The next statement I want to correct is that we don't pay tithe. Tithe is not a payment that we make because it's not a debt. Tithe is part of the New Testament giving. It is not a payment because you are not indebted to anybody. Christ has paid every debt that we need to pay. Christ has paid for all our debts. So we are not paying tithe because it's not a payment, but it's part of the blessings, part of the giving plan of a New Testament believer. Where tithing didn't begin with the law, it began before the law. But it was mentioned more in the law and mentioned less in the New Testament. Why was it mentioned less in the New Testament? Because in the New Testament, the goal is not just 10%. The goal and the focus for the New Testament giving is that giving should be what? Proportional. And that is why Jesus, looking at the widow who dropped 2 coins, said this has given more, because he looked at it based on what she has. She has given more. I gave an illustration last time, and I say somebody who has 100,000 and gave 10,000, and somebody who have 10 million and gave 500,000. Who has given more? The person who has 100,000 and gave what? 10,000 has given more, even though numerically the other one looks what? More, because giving is what? Proportionate. And the more God gives to you, the more it is expected that you should be what? You should give. For a New Testament believer, God doesn't just want us to focus on the 10%. We should give proportionately to how he has what? Blessed us. And we judge that if the Old Testament can go to stretch their faith to do the 10%, then we who have enjoyed the victories, who have enjoyed the finished work that Christ has done everything for us, the least we can give to the kingdom is what? 10%. 10% should be our starting point. Again, it is not a rule of thumb. You can grow in it. You can give your 10% and you can extend to give 20%. But the illustration that I gave, one gave up to 10%, one didn't give up to 10%. God sees them based on their heart. But God expects us in the New Testament to give richly and cheerfully. And that's why the Bible says, he that gives what? Bountifully shall reach what? Bountifully. So God expects us to grow to the point of bountiful giving. In the New Testament, giving is a form of consecration. And that's why somebody can decide to give 50% of his income to the kingdom. Another can decide to give what? 10%. As a man has what? Proposed in his heart, live by it. Jesus Christ said that except your righteousness exceed that of what? The Pharisees. So if them under the law, under the old privileges they have, could be able to stretch to that point, how much more a New Testament believer? So as you grow in your walk with God and in your service with God, you should stretch to be able to give even far more than 10%. Because in the New Testament, the focus is not that we should tabernacle at 10%. That is not the rule for the New Testament. It doesn't mean that if you don't exceed 10%, you are in error. You are not in error. But God expects us, just as we grow in our walk with Him, we also grow in giving with Him. Jesus explained 2 patterns of giving. Matthew chapter 5, He said He did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill the law. So we know that Christ is the fulfillment of what? The law. So He did not abolish, but He strengthens the law. And when He came, He brought a pattern. There were patterns of giving, and He had to explain the 2 patterns of giving. Luke chapter 6, verse 32. It says, for if ye love them which love you, what thank have ye? For sinners also love those that love them. And if ye do good to them which do good to you, what thanks have ye? For sinners also do even the same. And if ye lend to them of whom you hope to receive, what have ye? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive much. But love ye your enemy, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing. There are 2 types of giving, 2 patterns of giving. There is a transactional giving where you are giving hoping to receive. So Jesus said this is a pattern of giving, and those who are not saved are also practicing it. If I stand by you during crisis, you should be able to stand with me during crisis. If I'm able to give to you in time of need, when I have need, you should be able to give to me. And that is transactional giving. There's a giving that is what? Transactional. And that has been, give, it shall be what? Given to you. That is a pattern of giving. It is transactional, it is legalistic, it's humanistic, and it's generally accepted. Then he introduced the second pattern of giving from verse 35. He said, but love ye your enemies and do good and learn, hoping for nothing. It's another level of giving where you are giving not expecting anything. This is the second pattern of giving. And ye shall be called children of the Most High, for he is kind unto the unthankful and what? Evil. So there is a giving that makes you look like God, that describe you as a child of God, and there's a giving that doesn't describe you as a child of God. So the legalistic transactional giving is not expected if you are a child of God. God expects you to give at a higher level. That is at a level where you are giving expecting nothing. That is the second pattern of giving. Giving where I expect nothing, and I'm not giving because that person can do anything for me. I am giving because that is the way God gives. Whether the person has hurt you, has not hurt you, as long as you have a release in your heart, be a blessing without strings attached. It's not rub my back, I rub your back. That is transactional, it's legalistic. But there's giving in the order of what? Divinity. That's the second part of giving. Be ye therefore merciful as your Father also is merciful. So giving like my Father God. That is the second pattern of giving. How does God give? Verse 35. It says what? For he is kind unto the unthankful and to what? To the evil. Not only those who are grateful, but those who are what? Thankful. So God expects us that we can even give and not expect a thank you. After all I've done for them, look how they treated me. That is humanistic giving. Change how you give. Giving is a character of God. How does God give? Look at verse Timothy chapter 6 verse 17. Say, charge them that are rich in this world. Are you rich? You are not even saying it confidently. Are you rich? Charge them that are rich. So I'm charging you. He said, charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in or certain riches, but in the living God, who is what? A giving God. The living God is what? A giving God. And children of the living God are what? Giving children. Giving is in your gene, it's in your chromosome, it's embedded in your spiritual nature. It's part of the nature of the new birth. There's nobody that has the right to force you to give or what not to give. It is you becoming like Christ. So Jesus was telling them, it's time for you to start giving like God, not like man. How do you explain? You have your last destiny and you give it out and you're happy over it. It's divinity finding expression in you, but it must be without compulsion. You must be what? Cheerfully. So giving is part and parcel of you. He said the living God who gives, how does he give? Richly. Does that tell you 10%? You see why tithing was not to mention. That's why it will be an error for you to say tithing is not a New Testament truth. It's just that the emphasis is that we should exceed it. And the motives of giving is no longer a means to an end, but an end in itself. The New Testament giving is not a means to an end, but an end in itself. What it means is this: we are not giving because of what we will get. We are giving because that is who we are. Whether it's given to us or not, it does not change us from giving. That is the New Testament giving. Is that we will give and exceed the giving. So if you decide, okay, I want to maintain myself at the 10%, you're doing very well. Heaven respects you. But many of us know better to say thank you. We know how to show the nature of God better. And for us, 10% is too small to give to the kingdom. We can give everything. We can give 20%. But you see, you have to grow. Don't rush yourself. When it comes to the lifestyle of giving, don't let anybody force you. 2 Corinthians chapter 9 from verse 6. But at this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall what? Reap also sparingly. And he which soweth bountifully shall also reap what? Bountifully. But every man according as he has what? Purpose in his heart. So let him what? Give. Not grudgingly or out of religious obligation or out of compulsion. Giving is not a religious act. It's a spiritual step. It's a spiritual fruit.